if I can get the title right, the Lost Tools of Writing. Okay, so this is a lot different. If you had kids in Foundations and Essentials that are coming up, it's just a different way of writing.
Okay, take two of them.
Okay, the Lost Tools of Writing. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is, should I pray?
Yes.
Yes. Let's pray first. Okay, dear Lord, thank you so much for this night, and thank you for this community and just the time we have to come together. And I pray that you will help open our minds tonight to understand and to grasp all the things you want us to do to equip our children. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, Lost Tools of Writing. This is an awesome curriculum. So the main purpose of this is to teach our kids how to write persuasive essays. So it's a different style than what they've learned in Essentials. So Essentials, they learn to gather information from different sources and put them together. This is a little bit different. So I'm going to first just kind of walk you through this book so that you know kind of where some really helpful information is at in here. It's great to read too. So, I mean, the beginning has just a lot about the system and what this curriculum is. But they're going to learn how to gather information, how to sort that information, and then express it in effective ways. So that's kind of the purpose of this program. So if you kind of flip through, starting on page 3, it talks about the 5 paths to quality writing. So which are the literary path, the linguistic path, the critical path, the theoretical path, and the practical path. So those probably mean nothing, but you can read this. I'm not going to go through those and read them, but that talks about what that is. So the main picture with this is they say that when you're going to write something, an essay, the 3 biggest problems people have is coming up with what to write about, how you organize your information, and then how you put it together. So that's why they've created this curriculum to teach kids how to do all those things. So those 3 steps are known as the canons of rhetoric. So the first one is invention, and you'll hear these 3 canons all throughout the books or the book, and use them for every essay. So the first one is invention, and that is teaching the kids how to come up with what they want to say for their persuasive paper. The second canon is arrangement, and that is how you organize it, getting your thoughts together, putting it in a system in an order that makes sense. And then the last canon is elocution, and that is just expressing it in a way that's easy to understand. So when you hear or read canons of rhetoric, that's what that is, those three ideas. So we'll hit on each of those in each essay. The main thing with this is, which Erica's going to walk through kind of each essay, and you're going to see how they all build on one another. So we start with essay 1, which is just very simple, but you're going to use that framework and just keep adding to it. So then you're going to add to it and get to essay 2, add to that, get to essay 3, and so on. So it's really not crazy once you kind of get into it. So if you flip through, on page 20 and 21, it has the year at a glance. So if you just kind of want to see, what each step is for invention, what each step is for arrangement and elocution, it kind of shows that broken down into the weeks. So that can be a helpful page. Let's see. Okay, so then we get into the lesson guides. So on page 35, it starts with essay 1. And like I said, every essay is going to have steps for invention, arrangement, and elocution. So starting on page 35, that's where all the essays are. So it's just going to go through all the way to essay 9. Now in challenge A, those of you from challenge A, we only go to essay 6, and we'll do essay 6 about 3 times at the end of the year. In challenge B, they start at essay 2 and go through 7. And then in challenge 1, they start at essay 2, and go through essay 9. So it's kind of similar to Essentials in a way that they're going to repeat it for years. So the goal past challenge 1 is for them just to know this, and they're going to use this same framework throughout challenge, but not the book, because the goal is to have it kind of memorized and how to put this together. Let's see. So we go all the way through the essays. Starting in the back of the book on page 267, you will find some pages on how to edit. So this gives you a guide for every essay, just how they can edit. There's a little checklist there. Kind of go through each one, so that might be helpful. On page 275, there is a guide to assessment, and I think Erica has one. Did you get it from here? Okay, so she has a different assessment guide that you can follow that might be helpful. But back here are some pages to kind of walk through with you. If you can read your child's paper, how you can assess it if you choose to do that. Okay, starting on page 287. For each essay, they're going to have an outline, which is part of the arrangement stage. So starting back here, it gives you every outline just laid right out. So that can be really helpful if you just need to glance at it and see, okay, I don't know what in the world should be on it. So every essay is back there, and we're going to kind of walk through this with you, and you'll get to see how they build on each other. So that can be a useful page back there. Oh, this is a good one. On page 206 is a glossary. So all the big words they use that I've probably never heard of, and I still don't know what some of them mean. This page can be helpful for you and your students. So that is back there. Tabs are really helpful, I think, probably through all a challenge. So
Can we take a picture?
Yes.
Okay.
you can. So yeah, I have tab mine. It's just easy to get to each essay, and then the helpful pages in the back. Okay, and then keep going on page 319, 320. It has lesson summaries. So, I mean, ideally, you would kind of read through this. I think in class, in community day, the directors will go through the teacher guide with the students and walk through it with them. Ideally, you would do that at home too, but we know what it's like to be a mom also, and so you may not do that. So here is a lesson summary in the back if you just need to kind of get the main idea of what is going on for the essay that they're on. And that can be helpful. On page 336, 337, there are 2 sample essays for each essay. So that can be really helpful too, even for your child to kind of read if they've written their essay, if they're struggling, they can even read these sample ones and kind of see, oh, okay, that's how it should look. So those can be very helpful as well. And I think that is it. So that's kind of the main overview of your teacher guide. Some helpful pages in there. Yes.
So just put it, like, this was my thought last year. I didn't know if this was even right, but is LTW just persuasive? Is that the main point of it? Is just to persuade? Okay.
Yeah. So when you get your book, there should have been a little card in it. Do they still do that?
Yes.
Okay, there should be a little card. Yeah. With a website on it for the Circe Institute, which is what this is made by, I think. I put that link in my email. So with every essay, there's a video that covers each step. So with essay 1, Invention, essay 1, Arrangement, Elocution, they have that for each essay. So I link those videos in my email. However, you can, if yours came with a card, there's a password, and you can go on and find videos, and they kind of go over each one, similar to what we would in class, kind of. So you can have your student watch those at home if you need to, or if you need to. Okay, we will keep moving. Want me just to jump into essay 1? Okay, so we're going to start looking at essay 1. So for every essay, they will begin with what's called an Annie chart, and that means A and I. So A is for affirmative, N is negative, I is interesting. For every essay and every novel they read, they're going to pick a character and a choice that the character made or an action they performed, and then they're going to write their persuasive essay on whether or not this character should have done this or made this decision. So it's basically what every essay is like, I think, right? I pretty much only know what's beyond J and not beyond. But okay, so for every essay, they'll come up with a weather statement. So for our examples tonight, we're just going to use Lion and the Witch in the Wardrobe, since probably everyone's read that or watched the movie. So they're going to come up with a weather statement, which they will then turn into their issue. So whether Edmund should have followed the White Witch is our statement for tonight. So to decide or determine what side they're going to take, whether the affirmative or negative, they'll create an Annie chart, which they're basically going to think through the reasons why he should or shouldn't have, and then just any interesting information that's there. Okay, so we'll do the same thing for every essay. This is beginning in the very beginning with essay 1. Okay, so we're going to have you all participate a little bit and help think through. So, like 3 more reasons why Edmund should have followed him for her. Any ideas?
She had some great treats.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great treats.
He was alone?
Good one.
One more?
She offered safety.
Okay.
These are really good. She was actually hilarious.
And it's interesting in class, because I mean, we know what the obvious answer is, no, you shouldn't have, but some kids just choose the other side, and there's some good points, you know? Okay, how about a few more reasons why you shouldn't have followed her?
Don't go with strangers.
Stranger danger. No.
Honestly, when those two debated,
Sorry, my handwriting is
because I was
super
first of all like,
bad
well,
here.
and then I was like,
Okay,
oh.
stranger danger. What else?
That's good for me. That's good. You should know not to eat so many treats.
Too many sweets.
Too many sweets.
Okay. That's in Proverbs 25 that we read in challenge A. Don't fill your mouth with so many sweets or something.
Oh, yeah, it's biblical.
It's
biblical. I'm failing at that. Great. Great award.
Okay, one more. Why he shouldn't have followed her.
Another thing I need to lay down at the
Siblings would
altar.
know where he's going.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Amber,
Gosh.
She's
gonna be a challenge.
I think
Probably
she
is.
Next year, I'm not gonna say never.
Okay. Are there a few more interesting points regarding that decision?
She was wearing all white.
Yeah.
I mean, that can be tricky.
Look like
Yes.
an angel.
Yes. Angel of light.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember like super well, but wasn't she like
It's been a
one of the only human, really human type people
Yeah,
that
that's
he
true.
met at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
What
we had
happens
that
with
conversation.
one more?
you have good.
She was powerful. Like,
Okay. Okay, so this starts the basis of the thought process of how they're going to determine which side they want to choose and how they want to write their persuasive essays. Okay. So why don't should we decide what stance we're going to choose? Okay. So at this point, we're going to pick our, is it the issue or no, the thesis? Sorry. So, okay, what side should we choose? He should have followed her or he shouldn't have followed her? Should we vote? Okay, who says he should have followed her?
Just
I'm gonna
because.
say yes.
Maybe we should just do that just for
Funsies?
Just for funsies.
Okay,
Come on,
so then we would
YOLO.
come up with our thesis,
Go
all right?
for
So
it.
then our thesis would be, Edmund should have followed the white witch.
Is that the same as the issue?
Yes. Is that,
I think so, right?
Or is the issue the question?
the issue is the question. Yeah, should Edmund have followed the white witch? And then you do a whether statement. Whether Edmund should have followed the white witch. It's very repetitive, so you will find that throughout the essays. Okay.
What's your
Okay. All right, so now we have our thesis. Edmund should have followed the white witch. And are you going to take over from here?
Do you want to teach them how to sort?
Oh, yes, I will. Okay. So essay 1 is very simple in that it's going to be just short and repetitive. So they're going to repeat their 3 main points. So once we have our Annie's chart, they're going to look at the side that they chose. So we chose the affirmative.
So can I ask a question? So do they pick or like what side they want to do?
Mhm. Yep.
So if they want to be affirmative or
Yep.
negative?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they get to pick, and then their job is to persuade everyone else why that's the right one. So, okay, if we're going to choose the affirmative, in essay 2, it's going to teach them how to sort their chart. So for essay 1, they're going to pick their main reason why. So what is our main, or 3? What are our top 3 reasons why he should have followed her? What do you think are the 3 strongest reasons?
Adventure, but it's not on.
I can put it on there.
Add it to the list.
Wow.
What
Always
are
up for
the
adventure.
treats?
Goodbye, adventure.
Okay, so adventure. Okay, so we're gonna star our top 3. That will be our 3 main, what's the word that they use?
Proofs.
Proofs, yes, 3 main proofs. So adventure, what are the other 2?
treats.
They want mine.
Good work in my head.
I
Yeah,
think-
he was cold, I feel
I
like
think companionship, so that he was alone.
Okay, okay. Okay, so those are our 3 main points, our 3 main proofs, okay? So that is kind of how you would begin to sort it. As we go through the essays, they're gonna then choose 3 sub-proofs for each proof. So the goal is gonna become to get, I think they say 30 at the most, and it goes up. So like the first essay, I think their goal is to get 10 items per column, and it's like 15, and then 30, so they have a lot of choices to choose from when they need to start coming up with their sub-proofs. Okay, so if we had, so we would need to have at least 9 things up here to get 3 subproofs per proof, right? So let's say I'm just gonna pretend these are words. So, okay, let's do that. So, okay, so for my first couple essays, these are going to be my 3 main proofs, which will make up the body of my paper, the 3 reasons, okay? As we progress in the essays, as they find the 3 subproofs, we're gonna start to sort it a little bit different. They teach them to just use symbols, similar to what we did here. So if I have a star for that one, I would change these, and I might use like a triangle and a happy face, okay?
And sometimes I tell my students just use like different colored highlighters.
Yeah.
Just like, all this category is gonna be highlighted in pink
Yes.
as an option, that one's gonna be highlighted in blue.
Yeah, that would be good too. Yeah. There are a few different ways they can kind of do this.
So also as the essays get bigger and they need more and more, they're gonna have to come up with more affirmative and negative, is that correct? Is that where they're gonna get all their subproofs from?
Yes, exactly, yep. And that can be kind of hard to do, so you might need to help them with that sometimes. Okay, so if I was gonna say, okay, treats were one of the main reasons why he should have followed her, I would look at my other things and say, well, what kind of goes along with maybe treats? What else could kind of support that reason why he should have followed her? So I might look down here, let's say this reason did, there's 1, 2,
He was cold.
he was cold, maybe she had hot chocolate. Okay, so those would be my 3 subproofs for this, which would work into that paragraph of the essay. And you just do the same thing with the others. He was alone, she was a queen, blah, 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 okay? And then she offered, adventure, she offered safety, and it looks like I need 1 more. So you get the picture, right?
Can you pull any from the interesting column for that, for the subproofs?
You can,
Yeah.
yes. And so the interesting column is important for that reason. So I don't remember exactly which essay they tell them to do this, but there's an essay, I don't remember which one it is. They say put everything in the interesting column. And they can even start out doing that for things that aren't obvious. So like these, so we could look at this and say, she was powerful. Well, that could be an affirmative reason. So as they fill up their interesting column, they may see some things over there that they can move into the A or negative column. So yes, so that's one of the purposes.
Okay, what I'm passing out to you is gonna be more helpful for the challenge B parents, but I'm giving one to everyone because you're welcome to use it as a tool, if you want to. And so we're gonna jump into the 7 essay forms. And what I've done on here is I have written out the complete outline. So just if you were to go to the essay 7, this main section here is your entire outline. This is the complete essay form, okay, which they will learn by essay 7, and they will not add anything to this outline on 8 or 9. They're just gonna keep reviewing this, okay? So this is the complete form. At the very bottom is all of the rhetorical devices that they're adding. So for each essay, they add, except for essay 1, for 2 through 9, they add a new rhetorical device in their essay. So I have them all listed here. Ignore the left column for just a minute. So this has everything for the entire curriculum. Then I've gone in and color coded it according to challenge B and challenge 1, okay? So challenge A does do these a little bit slower, all right? But for B and 1, we start with essay 2. And so everything in blue are the components that are included in essay 2, okay? And that's it. Then we combine 3 and 4 together. And so everything in pink is for essay 3 and 4. So when you're writing your essay 3 and 4, you do all the pink and all the blue. Okay, we're gonna do both those colors. And then we go to essay 5, which is the orange. So now we're gonna do the orange, the pink, and the blue, all 3 of those colors together. That's kind of how we're building this outline. And then we go to the green and then the yellow, okay? Same for the rhetorical device at the bottom. You have to include all of them as you build up. So when we do essay 4, we're not just doing parallel phrases, we're doing parallel phrases, strong verbs, and parallelism with one word, okay? Everyone make sense? So that's kind of one of the greatest things about this curriculum is that we are building, but it's also, I think, the thing that students forget the most is that not only are we doing what this lesson is teaching you, but you have to do everything that you learned before also, okay? So
Did you make that?
I did. It's amazing.
Can we just slow clap for her?
We appreciate you. So the thing, and I can email you guys a copy of this. So for the B students, this is just an extra thing I do, and it does not have to mean anything. Okay. So A and 1, you're not doing this. I'm just doing this. For the B students, I feel like they've already had a year under their belt. It's time that they really make sure they nail down and know these details. I will collect their papers and I will check it against this. They'll get 10 points for everything included in the LTW section here. And then I will give it back to them. I tried the first year giving it back with no grade. Just like, hey, here's the components that you got and here's the ones you missed. And they were like, but what's my grade? So to make the students happy, because there has to be a winner, you know, because then it's all compare your grades. But I pass them out very discreetly. But if they want to share, there's a lot of pressure to share. I will give them a grade. But then I tell them, like, this is not for grading purposes. Your parents aren't recording this. This is just so, this is an evaluation of how much of the curriculum you successfully implemented into your essay. So that's just kind of, as ironic as it sounds, it's just kind of a fun thing that I do for the students. And they really love it. Then on the left side, parents do not use this, okay? Because your focus this year is to make sure you've nailed the LTW curriculum, okay? But when they get into B, and definitely by the time they're in 1, they're supposed to be taking this curriculum and really building on it and making it their own. And so I've included all the dress ups for LTW, for essentials. What's the curriculum called in essentials? IEW. There we go. I've included all the dress ups for IEW, and every dress up they put in their paper, they get 5 bonus points for. And then I have the formal typed out instructions. I encourage all my students to type their papers in the MLA format. It is not mandatory, but it's really, really good practice because they're going to have to do that starting next year. High school papers have to be typed. So these are all the components for MLA. You can just use a Google Doc. They've got it all formatted on there. It makes it super simple, but that way they're familiar with how to type it up and how to edit a paper on a computer. So those are the components, and I do give, I can't remember, I think it's 5 points that if they have all of those on their paper as well. And then I will give them a cumulative that. But for parents, this can be helpful too if you can self-assess your students' work and add that up however you want. Also notice along the top, I have paragraphs 1 through 11, okay? So this shows you, as the boxes move over, where you're supposed to start a new paragraph, okay? So some of these things we combine together, some go into a new paragraph. Obviously, when you're doing essay 2, you're only gonna have a couple, you're only gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, okay? You won't have the full 11, but you can see where those are supposed to kind of break up. We're going to just jump into essay 1. We've already got our Annie chart done, so that's our invention for essay 1. Is just like, hey, just brainstorm. Affirmative, negative, interesting, that's it. And then they teach them how to build that Annie chart. So then we're gonna go into the outline. Divide this board in half. This is going to be our outline. And then this will be our charts. If that makes sense. So, okay, so for essay 1, you are going to have your introduction, which is going to have your thesis, your enumerations. Does anybody know what that is?
The number of reasons.
That's right. My daughters ask me every week, Mom, what's enumeration again?
Show the glossary.
Right. Look it up in the back of your book.
glossary.
Okay. And so that's not even its own sentence, okay? I don't know why they make such a big deal out of that. But your thesis, your enumeration, your exposition, which are just the 3 proofs. Notice on here, when I say exposition on this chart, there's no box there. Because exposition is not a sentence of its own. It's just labeling the exposition is the 3 proofs, okay? So it's just kind of categorizing that. What?
Anything that's starred is a sentence, it seems like.
Right. Great observation.
Sometimes there are typos though. We had that
Yes.
Oh, no.
where they
There
put
are.
asterisks on the wrong things, and everyone was confused.
Thank
Maybe
you.
they fixed
Yes, I
it
think
in the
there
new
is
book.
one in A. There's an outline in A.
I was gonna say, there's an outline in the back of the book or something
Yeah.
that's wrong, one of them. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start right now, and I'm gonna use the blue marker to match this diagram here. So this is for essay 1. We're gonna start right here in the distribution. So this is how they would write, I don't know if I spelled that right.
It looks right.
Distribution. This is how they're gonna write their outline at home, okay? So number 1 is our thesis. What's our thesis?
Edmund should have followed the whiteboard.
Good. And I'm just going to abbreviate it, just like you do a keyword outline in Essentials. They can just do these keyword outlines, you know. So Edmund should white witch, okay? And then we're gonna do our enumeration. We know what that would be.
She was the queen.
For
No.
3 reasons.
For three reasons you should have followed.
All right. So 3 reasons. I know it's silly.
Then you don't
So
say the
it's just like a
reasons.
statement sentence.
Yes.
Just to
Edmund should have
preface
followed the white witch
your
for 3
next-
reasons.
The
I think
listing
he
of
just
the
goes.
reasons.
The reasons are, yes. Okay, so then we have exposition. So that's gonna be proof 1. Here, I'll put A on there. Proof 1. Which of these do we want to make proof 1?
Adventure.
Adventure. So he was seeking adventure. Okay. Number 2.
He was alone.
He was alone. All right. And number 3.
Treats.
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 He wanted treats. Great. Okay. So that's the first part. Then we're going to jump down proof 2. Okay. The second. So this is all one paragraph for the first essay. Then they're going to go down to the second paragraph and start with their proofs.
And Erica,
Yes.
when they're writing their own outline, they're gonna follow this, right? Like even though yours says, even though we're looking at this, seeing, okay, this is distribution, they will look and say, okay, that's introduction, A is my thesis, which is Edmund.
Right. So
Right,
so because this is essay 2, this outline does not have all this information on it.
Right.
So if you look up at the above in the middle, it says section 1,
Mm-hmm.
introduction. So everything in here is introduction. So we're going to be building a lot into the
Yeah,
introduction.
yeah, got it.
But for right now, only that paragraph is the introduction. So
Okay.
I'll have introduction up there.
Okay.
And then we go to section 2, and those are our proofs. Section 3 is the refutation, and section 4 is the conclusion.
Okay.
So yes, this is all part of the introduction.
Right.
And yes, just have them use the outlines in the book,
Yeah.
because that might be easier for them to follow.
Okay.
Okay, so for essay 1, we only list our 3 proofs again. So we literally just listed our 3 proofs, and now we're just gonna list them again. So, let's see how I did it, yeah. Adventure, alone, treats. That's it, that would be your paragraph. And it's very repetitive. It sounds like the exact same thing from the introduction to here. It's okay, we're only writing, literally your student will only write essay 1 one time, and that'll be in A. So we're moving past this very quickly. And then you come down to your conclusion, and you have your thesis again, which was Edmund should, down with the white witch, your summary of proofs, and that's where they can put all 3 proofs into one sentence. So like there's 3 boxes there, but that can all go into one sentence in the summary. Okay, so in this one it's going to be alone, adventure, and treats all together. Okay, and so that's your essay 1. Is that everyone tracking with that?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
The second heading for proofs, that's one paragraph, is that what you said? Or just
So
each
each of
topic
these
get
are gonna be a
paragraph?
separate paragraph.
Okay, and then
But-
in each separate paragraph.
Hold on, but for essay 1, they're all together.
Okay.
It's the only time it's different.
Do you mention the subproofs for the first one?
No. When you get to essay 2, then they will each be their own paragraph from here on out, and you will put the subproofs in.
Okay.
So just for essay 1, just one paragraph, you're just restating those 3 reasons. It feels a little silly, and that's okay.
Yeah, essay 1 will only be 3 paragraphs long.
Got it.
Introduction, the proofs, and conclusion.
Do the essays correspond to weeks? So week 1, they do essay 1, week 2 is,
Close. Each essay is a 3-week system.
okay.
So week 1, they do essay 1, invention. And then week 2 is essay 1, arrangement. So this was the invention. We just did the arrangement. And then week 3 is essay 1, elocution, which is adding in your rhetorical device and typing up and editing your paper. So taking it from just a keyword outline to 2 complete sentences. And for essay 1, they do not have a rhetorical device, right? I didn't miss that.
No, it's just from outline to essay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so then for essay 1, you don't have to do any rhetorical devices. That's it. And then we'll move on to essay 2. Unless anybody has any other questions about essay 1?
Sarah won't ask this, but she wants to know when Jesus is coming back.
What in the
August
world?
21st.
No,
For the
when?
second essay.
We'll get one day.
John, I'm gonna defer that question to you.
When Jesus is coming back.
Okay. Okay, so then essay 2 is gonna build on this a little bit. So week 1 of essay 2, you're gonna come back to your invention. And we're just throwing out the idea that there are 5 common topics of invention. Yeah, you're gonna write them. So there's comparison, you just write all of them across the office. Comparison, definition, circumstance, relation, which is relationship, and testimony. We're gonna hard hit all 5 of those things throughout each essay.
This has nothing to do with what you're doing. This is actually a question for last time.
Yeah.
But is this is this the essay that they need to have written when they go like the first day? Like, was there like
They don't have to have an essay the first week,
Okay, so it's just they need to come with the book read.
right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they'll start.
And then they'll
working
start
on it.
that.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just wanna make
And this, we will teach this to the students in class, so they should come home understanding it, but this will help you, they're gonna come home understanding what, like 50% of it? And then you can fill in the gaps with
Okay.
the stuff that they've forgotten. Okay, so for week 2, it's nothing, super exciting for the invention week, just like, hey, think about comparison. So can anybody give me a comparison that we could, that helps us with our thesis? Whether Edmund should have followed the White Witch. Is there any comparisons that are affirmative, negative, or interesting?
We could compare him to Lucy.
Okay,
Lucy knows not to follow strangers.
right, so
Except for Mr.
Lucy,
Thomas.
yeah, Lucy
It's
knows.
fine. He's a goat, he seems sane.
She's got discernment, a little bit of discernment.
That's true. She's.
Which part?
It's important. Hey, this is a lot of going to star papers. Do you?
So Edmund needs to become like Lucy and learn some discernment there, maybe, okay? Circumstance. Anybody think about anything else that's going on in the book that would be affirmative or negative towards him following the White Witch? Or just interesting?
He was in opposition to his siblings, and that's
Okay.
he was
So that would be
alone. That's why he was
Mhm.
looking for something.
someone,
else.
yeah. So he had separated himself, he was away from his siblings, so he should or should not. Is that affirmative or negative?
It's the reason why he did.
Okay, so affirmative, he was separated from his siblings.
Put that under one of our triangle ones.
Okay, and then what about maybe like testimony? Testimony is like expert or authority. Who would be like an authority on this or knows more than him that would say he should do something one way or the other?
Literally.
Okay,
anyone
what
that
did the
lives
witch
in
say?
She said, "Follow me." And
You're right. So that would be affirmative. The witch said, I got this, follow me. Okay, so that's kind of all week 2, or essay 2. That's kind of all we're doing as far as the invention week is we're not deep diving into any of these. We're just kind of touching on it, letting the kids kind of think through what do each of these mean, okay? So they're gonna kind of do some brainstorming, and as they brainstorm, you're gonna add those ideas to your Annie chart. Does that make sense?
While they're at home.
While they're at
I
home.
think that's one thing that I had a hard time with understanding last year.
Mhm.
By the way, Alicia does an amazing job.
Yes.
When you get water hosed with all this stuff,
Yes.
it's like, okay, that is helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's something, so like that week at home, they're doing it's a 3-week cycle for LTW. Week 1 of that cycle, they're always doing invention. And so like, I sometimes will break it down for my kids, like, okay, today you need to brainstorm 10 items. Just on your own, just brainstorm anything you can think of, because they've got some things rattling around that they've already thought of, I want to get all of those ideas out of your head first, so we're going to do those. Then the next day, it's like, so like Wednesday of the week. Tuesday, they just put down 10 items, whatever's rattling in their head. Then Wednesday, I'll jump into the chart. Okay, so like for essay 2, I say, okay, Wednesday, you need to think about comparison and definition and tell me, and you need to come up with a couple of items for each of those, come up with a couple of definitions, a couple of, comparison items, and then write those into your chart. And then Thursday, I'll be like, today you need to, think about circumstance and relationships. How do either of those, what circumstances or relationships play into it? Now add those to your chart. And then Friday, testimony. What, who's the expert who says something, and add that to your chart. So that's one way I break it down for my kids, if that's helpful.
That makes sense. So like last year, like there was a point where they were supposed to get to 30 things, and they used to be like,
Right, to sit down and write out
Like, if you actually do
90
that, you
items
Yeah.
is a lot.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, in your teacher guide, there's sample worksheets that are in your student's workbook. So for example, there's a worksheet for every step. So like essay 2 invention, this is their worksheet, which is just like she said, you're just gonna go through these, have your kid go through these to generate things to put on their chart. So that's in here too.
And when you had said, Erica, the first day when you have them brainstorm, you're talking brainstorm this right here, doing the Annie
Annie
chart
chart.
without doing anything of the 5 common topics.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to, and that's just something I do, so take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like once they've picked their issue, they picked it because they already had some ideas on it.
Mhm.
So let's just go ahead and get those ideas out. and then start digging in deeper. And that is the point of each of these 5 common topics, is to help them think creatively to dig in deeper to these topics. So that is actually kind of the heart behind it and why they do it this way. And we're going to get into all of those as we go through all the essays. Okay, so then week 2 of essay 2, we're going to do arrangement. We're adding in our sub-proofs now. And I think that's the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing we're adding in. So we're going to come back over here. I'm going to still use blue because it's just blue on my paper. But for adventure, give me 3 sub-proofs for adventure.
Going to her castle.
Okay? Castle. What else? And you can use the ones off of there.
Oh, sorry.
Either way, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was that maybe for alone, safety maybe for alone, or was that for adventure? I don't know.
Offered safety has the happy face next
Great.
to it, but.
Perfect.
He wanted a safe adventure. That's what it was.
And then another one for adventure, John?
Sorry, I'm trying to read what you have up there.
Okay, let's see. Adventure smiley face. We only have 2 smiley faces.
Yeah.
We need another one.
She was powerful. Is an interesting type.
Andrew, there we go. Let's move that one over. Let's go with powerful.
So you need 3 subs.
So we're doing, so this is for essay 2. Now we're doing 3 sub-proofs. Okay, so for alone, what 3 sub-proofs do we have for alone?
She had a dwarf with her. Wait,
A dwarf,
that's interesting.
but we can move it over. Yeah.
Okay. I just want that somewhere.
I like it. All right, so we've got a dwarf. What else for alone? She was a queen,
Yeah, she was queen.
and he was separated from his siblings.
Hey, the first week is just is just always gonna be the Andy chart, is that throughout challenge?
Always.
Or the first 3, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so when you're saying essay 2, week 2, that's when we're adding in the sub-proofs.
Yes. So week 1 will always be the Annie chart. Week 2 will always be the outline. And week 3 will be typing the paper and adding your rhetorical
She's
notes.
telling you like, hey, this is essay 2. It literally says essay 2, and then like on that next page it says you will do your sub-proofs now. And essay 1, you don't have the option. So if your kid's following his book, unless he wants to handwrite in sub-proofs for the fun of it, like it's not an option.
And
So,
if he does, that's concerning.
yeah, he's an overachiever. That's what he said. He wants adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
without
is
the
pretty,
treats.
like self-explanatory, like you said, it walks you through it.
Yeah. Yeah, the student book is really helpful.
So don't freak out like, oh, I might mess this up. If you're following the student book, you
Yes.
have to do it the way they say to. So.
Can I ask anybody who's been around CC, like, so did you ever have your kids like actually fill this out, or do you like grab a spiral notebook and write them in there so you can reuse it?
Just notebook paper, that's what we always did.
In every arrangement stage, for each essay, that will go into your outline. So as we move through, there will be, for example, when we get to essay 3 invention, it's gonna cover comparison 2. The comparison part doesn't have a specific place in the essay. So when they have these different devices for the invention and elocution stage, those can go anywhere in the paper. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Kind
But-
of just where it makes sense to mention
Right.
the comparison.
Yes, so with every arrangement stage, we're adding something to that outline.
Okay, so
gonna be fine,
our
right?
third set of proof is treats. What are our sub-proofs for this?
It's just about to shut power down on its own.
He was cold,
Cold.
and we gotta come up with
2 of them.
Okay, we need 2 more sub-proofs for treats.
He was hungry.
Hungry. Okay?
Addicted to sugar.
Sugar addiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Broken Jesus name.
Excellent. Okay, so now you have your complete outline for essay 2. You've got 3 paragraphs here, your 3 individual proofs with 3 sub-proofs, okay? So starting at this point, it's more, this sorting your Andy chart becomes more helpful. You're gonna sort through each of those and kind of figure out what categories do they fit into, okay? And we'll walk through that in the class too. Okay. Now for essay 2, you have your first rhetorical device, and you are adding a parallelism 1 word. So a 1-word parallelism is when you pick 1 word and you echo it 2 more times. So we just need to pick something, and I tell my students, when we're on week 3 of the cycle and you're doing your rhetorical device, write it into your essay. Then you won't forget to put it in, write it into your outline. Then you won't forget to put it in your essay when you're writing it out. So we need a parallelism. Somebody pick a word and we'll make a parallelism.
Adventure.
Adventure. I need 2 synonyms for adventure. And adventure is a noun,
Journey.
right? So they have to be nouns.
Not a destiny.
Okay, and we talked about parallelism in challenge A in analogies. So it just goes together.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, adventure, journey, we need one
Shrek.
more. Quest.
Oh,
Quest.
Wes.
What?
From the back of the room.
Got dunked on.
From the back
Okay,
of the room.
and I really love doing it like this, you guys, because you're gonna start up here saying he was seeking adventure and he was alone and he wanted treats, okay? But then you're gonna come down here and be like, Edmund should have followed the White Witch because he was seeking adventure, journeys, and quests. Okay, so it adds more to it, makes it a little more interesting. So we're not just repeating each time. Okay.
Or can you can use it too as a, instead of just an adjective, like was seeking what, or direct object. Sorry, I'm doing essentials in my head.
Say that.
But if,
No,
if
you use
say,
dress ups, yeah, to make
right,
it.
but if you say on his, can you say like on his quest to the castle, on, you know, on
He was
his
seeking
quest,
adventure.
on, that would be a verb then, right? So like
Yeah.
you could use it in the different parts of speech and just, instead of saying precisely what you said.
So
Something very
But do
philosophical.
That just made my brain go.
okay, so I
Major
think I
glitch.
understand what you're saying, and maybe not. So
Okay.
you're saying kind of break these up and say on
Yes.
his quest he was seeking adventure.
Well,
Or
or
like-
just using those other words within that same subproof.
So they all have to be side by side.
Ah, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so in your guide, it shows you that, so it'll give you examples like
Starting on page 81.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, it has examples. Edmund should heed, follow, and obey the White Witch. So they have to be together. It's the way you're repeating yourself that makes it a parallelism.
Right.
So that's a really great question. I'm glad you brought that up.
And you can see the sample student workbook page, so they're gonna write their 2 terms, and it gives you the parts of speech there where they will generate the other words, right? So if,
Okay.
So you can put your rhetorical devices, you can pick anywhere you want in this essay to put them. It doesn't matter. You're just gonna pick a word. For this one, you'll pick a word and come up with more. And there's worksheets in here to walk the students through it. We're just doing the quick version.
Right, so you could pick a verb instead, like
Yes.
seeking.
Yeah, seeking. He was seeking, searching, exploring.
Yeah.
For adventure. So yeah, absolutely. You could even do nouns like Edmund, Lucy, and Peter were all following. So it's not like the children were following.
Okay.
Edmund, Lucy, Peter,
Small stuff.
what's the other one?
That doesn't work.
The girl. The other
No.
girl.
No.
Susan.
No.
We're all following. So yes.
Little.
Okay. So this ends up essay 2. So now they're going to take this and they're going to put that, type it out or write it out and put it in essay form. Okay. Any questions on essay 2? Okay. Cool. Oh yes.
No, I'm sure I'll figure it out.
No.
I mean, we just spent time doing comparison, definition, circumstance, relation, and testimony. All of that just really helped us with our ANE chart, right?
That's it.
Yes.
That's right. So you've heard a lot about the 5 common topics, right? You guys have heard about this a lot. 5 common topics.
Yes.
Those
Okay.
of us that are new to CC.
No big deal. So the 5 common topics are ways to brainstorm. So we use it in the brainstorming, the invention stage. Or when we're having a conversation, we use it in class to guide the conversation because there's ways to brainstorm.
Wait, do we do that in real life?
Yes.
Yeah. So Alicia talked about the 5 canons of
Okay.
rhetoric. 3 canons of rhetoric. So technically there's
There's
5, but there's only 3 we're covering in this curriculum. But this is a conversation I have with my students the first day of class is we've got these 5 canons of rhetoric, we've got these 5 common topics. What's their relationship between each other? And usually one person picks it up and they're like, aren't all the common topics in the invention or brainstorming part of the canons of rhetoric? And that's it. They're just for creating dialogue, creating ideas, creating conversation. And we're gonna dive in and explore each of these now with each of our essays.
Which will help our kids, obviously, in so many other areas as well. But conversation, I think, would be the biggest one to have good conversation with.
Yeah.
And like
It could be.
what they're telling you is super important because then like CC just builds and builds and builds. And so like she's talking about 3. At challenge 1, we're doing all 5. You learn the memorization and how to deliver it and stuff. So like like what she's telling you is super important because you're laying a foundation so that they can continue to build on it. So what she's saying is like it's spot on and cool.
Like whenever someone's like, oh, you don't understand what you're doing, just trust the system. What that really means is you don't understand what you're doing right now because you're only doing a part.
Mhm.
But by the time you get to the end, you're gonna be doing the full and it will all come together and make sense. So, okay, essay 3, unless we have any more questions? Okay, yes,
Just to clarify, by the time we get to essay 3, we're on our 3rd book.
that's right.
We're just.
You're flying through here now, yes. Yes.
What comes before essay 2?
Thank you, you're so helpful. Okay, essay 3. In B and 1, we combine essay 3 and 4 together, okay? But in A, you guys will do those separately. So, for essay 3, we are going to start with our Invention week, and we're going to start with comparison. So we're going to jump in here, and we're going to spend 2 essays studying comparison. First, we're going to study how are things similar. Then in essay 4, we're going to study how are things different, okay? So Alicia's kind of drawn out, from here on out, your book provides a little like workbook, a worksheet. The student book has it and your book has it, a little worksheet, and it's helpful if your student recreates it just on like a piece of notebook paper or something. And so we're going to go through here, and let's do this real quick. Let's pick something. It can literally be anything, okay? Something in here you want to compare to something else.
Dwarfs.
Dwarfs,
Yes.
all right.
Appreciate you.
Oh,
Yep.
So all right, dwarfs, and what are we going to compare dwarfs to?
The White Witch.
Okay, to the White Witch.
Is that too bad?
No, that's not bad at all. You
that's
can
amazing.
compare anything.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, some comparisons may be more helpful than other comparisons. But Cece, when Cece was doing examples of comparison, they compared something to an orange, okay?
I was about to say, let's be
Anything
honest,
goes.
they'll pick something totally random.
They will.
Like a blade of grass to the sun. I mean,
Okay, so we're just going to start and say, how are they the same? What do both dwarfs and the White Witch both have?
Extreme size.
Okay.
Ooh, one way or the other.
I mean, yes, extreme sizes. So they're both something to stare at, you know? They're beyond human form. Okay, what else do they both have?
Both mean.
Emotions.
Okay, they're both emotional and maybe on the mean side.
They've been hurt in life at some point.
at least in this book, that's how they are.
Yes.
Ooh.
What do they both are? They both are beings. They both are
Evil.
say what?
Evil.
Evil. Okay, yeah. For the purposes of this book, they are. They both are.
They both live in Narnia. Does that work? They both are
Okay.
Narnians.
Let's say they both do. They both do live in Narnia. What else do they both do? I just turned it down. Sorry.
You're teaching, so you're hot.
They both do.
I know.
Anything else? They both do evil. I mean, you can say that too. They both
Persuade Edmund.
yes, yeah.
Manipulate.
They both do manipulate. Yeah.
You could do both are persuasive too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, excellent. So now here's the golden part of doing this chart. This is what students miss out on, okay? So this is what I want you to really understand here. We are not just doing this chart for the fun of it, although it was a lot of fun, right? That's how we want to spend our time. We are doing this chart because we're now going to take this and put it onto our Annie chart. So I want you to look at this chart. What on here is affirmative, negative, or interesting? What can we move over to our chart?
Negative. They've both been hurt.
Okay, perfect. I'll turn it down 1 degree for you.
1 degree.
Up 1 degree.
Say something.
What else? Who else has one?
What would affirmative be? They both live in Narnia. That would be. Is that a good thing or?
Or maybe neutral. It could be just interesting. It could be a good thing, if you think.
To categorize them on the Annie chart, does it have to be still based on the thesis?
Yes.
It's not
Okay.
just like, yeah, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing.
Right. It's according to whether Edmund should have followed the White Witch. Yeah. So they're both evil. So dwarfs and the White Witch are both evil. So you shouldn't have followed them.
And she's manipulative.
And manipulative. And you can write those down as 2 different reasons. Yep. Okay. Does everyone kind of get a vision of where we're going with this?
No, but I'll get there.
So once you're done with this, you know, you've built another 5 to 10 reasons onto your Annie chart. Okay. So we're building on here. Okay. Now we're going to take. Are there any questions on the Invention week? We're going to move to our outline week. So now we're on week 2 of essay 3. We're going to do our outline.
I hope this is not off topic, but the video that has the parentheses as the password, would it be similar to watching what you're explaining right now for the student to watch before each week?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't watched every single one, but they do generate these things in the videos.
Okay, so for essay 3, the only thing we're adding to the outline is an exordium. Does anybody remember from Essentials what an exordium is?
Expounding on your thesis?
Not quite.
Let me look at the glossary.
Okay, I'll help you out. It is simply something to catch your reader's attention, to get them interested in the topic you're about to present. So this is going to be all the way at the top.
What did we call it in Essentials?
Attention getter.
Yeah. To make it relatable for.
I try to encourage my students to relate the topic as if their audience has ever been in a similar situation. But we can do anything. Whether Edmund should have followed the White Witch. How can we get an exordium here? Any ideas?
So do you remember what the three or the few things that it could be, like the guidelines?
Good
for
question.
exhorting? Yep. Question,
Quote.
or statistic.
Very short
or
sentence.
Statement.
So you can use those things too.
So it could be something like, have you ever had to make a hard choice? Have you ever been alone and afraid?
Have you ever really been mad at your siblings?
Yeah.
So they can all relate to
All right. Have you ever been mad at your siblings? That's a great exordium. All the students in the class are going to relate to that. Okay. And so that's our complete outline. Now, the exordium is its own entire paragraph. Okay, if you see on like that outline I did. So you are not limited to one sentence. In challenge A, that's probably all they're going to do, and that's great. In B, I'm going to encourage them to expand on that. Okay, have you ever been mad at your siblings? Have you ever wanted to cause them pain? Have you ever made a decision just because it was opposite of what they wanted? Well, Edmund was in a similar situation. And then you can go into the other parts of your introduction. Does that make sense?
In the student book too, it says ask, like just for the exordium, it says ask 3 questions, write 2 things you can challenge the readers to do, and provide a quotation relevant to the issue.
And then it's going to tell them to like pick from that.
Mhm.
So you're just generating a whole bunch of ideas. Yes. Yep. So, perfect. Okay. Then for week 3 of essay 3, we're doing our rhetorical device is verbs. Okay. So we want to have strong verbs in our sentences. You guys have already done this in Essentials, so this is easy. So let's pick a verb on here. Or I guess we didn't really write in a ton of verbs, but let's just, just kind of think, where would it be fun to put a strong verb? And I have my students, like on the week 3, the elocution week, I have them come home Tuesday, add your rhetorical devices. So this is essay 3. Not only are they adding a strong verb, but they're also adding a parallelism one, okay? So on Tuesday, they're gonna add their parallelism one, and they're gonna add their strong verb. Where do we want strong verb in here?
Hungry. You're talking
Say
about
that again?
Exchanging what we have for another strong
Yes.
verb like
And
hungry.
we didn't necessarily write verbs because it's kind of an outline, so we can just kind of add one in. But yes, anywhere in here,
Hungry, famished,
yes.
starving.
Although this would be like
An
he
adjective.
was hungry, so hungry would kind of be serving as an adjective. Was being the main verb that we're kind of using. Okay, what about we said he wanted treats, desired.
You were an Essentials tutor. Can you
Okay, so I would just tuck it right in there. So just like that is what I kind of tell my students to do. Just kind of mark it out. No, here's my strong verb. This is what I'm upgrading. And for my students, I will tell them highlight that on your paper, so I know that's your strong verb. Because verbs are kind of hard to tell. You know, if that was one you purposefully worked for, I want to appreciate it for you. So there you go. So now they're going to write this whole thing into their essay. Does that make sense with everyone? Okay, so that's essay 3. So then we're going to go to essay 4, and we're going to focus on comparison again, and we're going to be doing comparison differences. So there's 3 different ways we compare. We will stick with the same comparison, okay? And we're going to say, what do they have more or less of, okay? So the dwarfs have, and you're going to do kind of for both. So the dwarfs have more or less of what than the White Witch? Less height than the White Witch. The dwarfs have more of what than the White Witch?
Facial hair.
I was gonna say the movie.
Dwarfs have more
Harry.
facial hair than the White Witch. Great. And then, well, both are. Both, the dwarf is more what than the White Witch?
Oh, is he scary?
I think he's more authentic.
Okay. More authentic than the White Witch.
She's a liar.
She's a total liar. Everything. Okay. And the dwarf is less what than the White Witch?
Manipulative.
Less manipulative. And what else? Talkative. Okay. Both of those are great. Okay. And then this is does more or less. Okay, good. At least you put talkative on. Does less talking.
I'm sorry.
You got it. Yep. And let's say the dwarf does more what than the White Witch? These are actions. Does more work.
Yeah, I was gonna say
He does all of her work. The dwarf is more work. Okay, so you're gonna come up with a couple of examples for each one. This worksheet is on page 123, and you've got a couple of boxes here. So you're gonna kind of go through each of these and kind of fill the blanks in these boxes and figure out your comparisons.
I might add, so if you notice on here, both are, it also says list groups both belong to. I might add like they both belong to a population of Narnia, but the dwarf is more Narnian, he's not human, so that could be like a group.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. I forget about that.
And where are we putting this in this essay?
This is essay 4. This is our invention. So we are just brainstorming.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And now we're going to take all these brainstormings and we're going to move them over to our Annie chart.
Got it.
So from this chart that we just brainstormed, what can help our weather statement? Whether Edmund should have followed the White Witch. Which of these are affirmative, negative, or interesting?
Jeff?
Oh, bless him. He hasn't even been in here.
Sorry.
He hasn't even been in here. The dwarf is more Narnian. Is that affirmative?
Yeah. I
Sure.
Interesting.
second your motion. It's affirmative.
That's for you, babe.
There you
I
go.
love that for you.
Aw.
Yeah, but authentic only in that he's just like really crabby and not nice, and that's really who he is.
Sorry.
His authenticity isn't enjoyable. It's just authentic.
That's good.
Could you also
Anything-
put the White Witch being more manipulative on there in the affirmative, because that'd be a reason why to actually follow her? Like that would be.
If that's how you're writing your paper, absolutely. Yeah. If
want
you're
to
writing
be
that as an
illegal,
affirmative,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of flexibility. If you can sell me on it, I'll take it, you know? You can go any way you want.
You might use the word persuasive though, instead of manipulative. It's a bad connotation. If you're going for this.
If you're
Yeah.
going for
You're
that.
like, no, manipulators, it's good.
Uh-huh.
Excellent.
Gets the job done.
Okay, so
It
that's,
makes
we're gonna
it
move
more
those over.
adventurous.
So you can see how, depending upon what you're comparing, how it can be more or less helpful, to your weather statement.
So say that my son makes his stuff, but then he's like really struggling. He's really struggling to put it in the Annie chart. Would you encourage them to think of more of these? Or how would you kind of help them get through that? Because we even were sitting here like, I don't know. So how would you help them?
So, I think let them feel the struggle, and then I would just explore that first of all, and just say, hey, why are you struggling here? What do you think didn't work very well about this? So that next week when he creates this, he can, maybe it's I didn't pick a topic that related very well, you know? Maybe it didn't relate to the heart of the issue. Okay, so next time we can pick a little better topic. Then you could either want, should we go back and pick something else to compare and try again to move it over? Or you just decide that this is a learning week and we don't have a lot to move over. And you just need to do some other brainstorming to finish off your Annie chart, okay? And so I think there's a lot of value in them figuring out what didn't work about that and just being like, it's okay if it was kind of a bust week, you know? We don't slap wrist in class, so if he comes back without all of his Annie chart items, it's okay.
You go over some of the comparisons in class, like give them different ideas.
We do, yeah.
So when you're on week 4 and you are focusing on comparison, once they go home on Tuesday, they do their Annie chart,
Good.
and then, I mean, we would still, let's say we're using what you do, and let's say we go through the exercise of comparison with them again. I mean, we would still focus on the other common topics
Right,
through
so-
the week, right?
So starting at this point, what we do, Tuesday, you're just gonna brain dump maybe 10 items per, how many do you guys require an essay for? I can't remember. Are we at like 15 or 20? 15? I think we might be at 20 already by essay 4. So let's say they need 10 days. So maybe Tuesday they come home and brain dump 5 to 10 reasons per column. Wednesday, they're gonna do the comparison similarity chart that we just did, because we're not forgetting what we did before. So Wednesday, they're gonna do comparison similarities, they're gonna get 5 more on. So now they're at 10 to 15. Thursday, they're gonna do their comparison differences. And now they're gonna get on that last 5 to, 5, so they'll be at 15 to 20. And then if you need to fill in with just a little bit more brainstorming, ask yourself some of these questions, okay? What else can you think of, to finish this out? Does that make sense? Okay, great. Okay, so we need to, so we're doing our outline. So we've got all of this done. The other thing we're adding for essay 4 is an amplification. This goes at the end of the paper, and it goes into the conclusion. And so the amplification tells our audience why they should care about it. And it should tie into your exordium, okay? So we're talking about being mad at your siblings, and we're talking to a class of students. So we just want to tell the students, like, who it matters to and why. That's the two components of the amplification. So this matters to everybody who has siblings because you have a choice every day to get along or to fight. Okay? So that would be my example. Somebody else have an idea for an amplification?
Oh, yours was really good.
Yeah.
I second that.
Right.
Okay, we'll go with that. Okay, so this matters to siblings because you have a choice to fight or not. Okay? Yeah,
Just turn the air. Just turn it up.
A coat. Oh my stars.
Okay, so
I just want you to know I'm
that's your
comfortable with
entire
the
outline.
temperature. I'm comfortable with the temperature.
Thank you, Jill.
Got you.
So you've done your whole outline and you've built it from scratch, and that's everything for the arrangement week. Okay, so you've built all of these items. Now we're going to go to week 3, which is our elocution week, and we're going to add another rhetorical device. So on week 3, you're going to come home on Tuesday, and you're going to add all of your rhetorical devices to your outline. So you're going to add your parallelism 1, which is the one word. You're going to add your strong verb, and then you're going to add parallel phrases. Okay, so parallel phrases is just like the one word. You have 3 synonyms of one word. You're going to have 3 phrases that are the same in your sentence structure. So think back to LTW. No, this is LTW. Think back to essentials. When you learn your sentence structures. Let me flip over here real quick. Okay, so you're creating phrases. So a phrase does not have to be a complete sentence. It could just be a preposition, like a prepositional phrase, and oftentimes that's what works really well for the students because they're easier to create. But we talk about this in class, and we talk about creating parallel phrases, and that means they have to have the same structure. So maybe they're all SVTDO phrases, or maybe they're all, how do you do the prepositional phrases? They're just,
They're not in the.
have that diagonal line. You've got your,
Preposition, diagonal.
Yes.
Yeah.
More.
the preposition, and then a
Okay.
noun.
Preposition.
Thank you. Okay, so maybe a prepositional phrase. Sometimes you can do like an SVL. Thank you. So you can put this anywhere in your paragraph that you feel inspired. Okay. I do encourage my students to take their 3 proofs and write them into parallel form. Okay. This one would be really easy. How do we make these parallel? So if we start with the first one, what structure do we have? He was seeking adventure.
So he.
Yeah, SVTDO.
VTDO.
Actually, was his leading,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
SVL.
Seeking what? Seeking adventure.
Uh-huh.
That's not.
Yeah, isn't it a helping verb?
It is a helping verb in that way. Good
Okay.
job, John.
So
Yes.
seeking is your verb.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's
Yeah.
verb transitive.
There we go.
Uh-huh.
Seeking adventure.
Direct on.
Okay, good. It gets a little tricky. Maybe essentials in class. Okay, he was seeking adventure. So we could follow that structure, okay, and try to put them together. So we could change this one. He was traveling alone.
Good
There you go.
job.
Excellent. And then we're just gonna stick a was in here.
Yeah.
He was desiring treats, right? And now they're all SVHVTDO, okay?
Mhm.
Cool. This can be really hard. And sometimes it's like I can't get to a parallel phrase from what we started with, so we just kind of move on. But it's also a really cool way to do it. So when you start in the introduction with, Edmund should have followed the White Witch for 3 reasons. First, he was seeking adventure. He was traveling alone, and he was desiring treats. It just rolls off the tongue. Then when you come down here, they don't have to be worded the exact same way. You don't say he was seeking adventure. You can say Edmund was on an adventure, journey, and quest to distinguish himself from his siblings. Okay, so these sentences don't have to be exactly the same when you've put these into parallel form.
So are you telling me that what we just did on 3ABC checks the box for parallelism phrases?
Yes. Yes, it does. Good job. Now you could put that in there anywhere you want. So if you don't want to do your parallel phrases there, you don't have to. You could write it into one sentence, like the White Witch was powerful. You could say Edmund should have followed the White Witch because she was powerful, she was strong, and she was authoritative. Okay, those are parallel phrases also. So you can put it in anywhere you want. Everybody tracking with that or have questions? Okay, so that's it for essay 4. That's your rhetorical device. So now you've got all 3, 1, 2, 3 of your rhetorical devices, because essay 1 didn't have any. So you've added all those in. So then Tuesday you added those in. Wednesday you're going to type up your paper. Thursday mom's going to edit it, and Friday you're going to print off your final copy and highlight the things that your teacher wants you to highlight. Good? Okay, then we'll move on to essay 5. Okay, this time we're going to start with definition. So if you look at page 147, that's where the sample worksheet is. This is going to walk us through how to create a definition, and we will definitely go over this in class, because I feel like, I don't know if you're I feel like mine struggle with this probably more than any of the others.
Yeah, it's more difficult.
Okay. So you're going to pick a term to define. Maybe it'd be helpful if it was a term from the weather statement. Does it have to be from your?
It doesn't have to.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have to, but maybe that would be helpful. Beth.
I hear you saying the word definition.
Yes.
And I'm looking in the book and seeing the word division.
That is on your outline. So we are back to the invention week,
Okay.
and we are studying the 5 common topic of definition. So so starting at essay 5, your student book should have a worksheet, definition 1.
That's not a box to check on the spring page that you made.
Yes. No. I'm sorry. No, it is not.
Okay.
The invention is never on that page,
Okay.
because the invention only goes into the Annie chart. So we're going to work through a definition, and then we'll add that definition to our Annie chart, and then I give my students 5 bonus points if their definition ends up in their essay, anywhere in their essay. So maybe if you define a word from your weather statement, you can put it into your introduction, okay? Because I feel like after they've done all the hard work to create this definition, they should get some credit for it, Let's just not do it for nothing.
Yeah. So invention elements always go into the Annie chart. Arrangement elements always go into the outline. Elocution elements always go into the final essay. If that makes sense.
So this chart that she gave us here is more about grading the elocution. Is it
The
like more
arrangement,
on
uh-huh.
paper?
Yep, the arrangement and elocution, both of those are on there.
Arrangement.
Just
Okay.
not the invention.
Say that one more time.
Invention elements always go into the Annie chart. The arrangement elements always go into your outline. And the elocution elements will always go into your final paper in the paper. Right?
Okay,
Yeah.
can you say it one more time?
Yeah.
Seriously. Because I want to write it down.
Okay, so the invention elements, what we do the first week, always help you go into the Annie chart. Arrangement elements always go into your outline. Elocution elements always go into the final paper.
And how do we know if it's, I mean, I know what the invention element is. How do I know what the,
So this
Arrangement.
main section here is your arrangement. This small
Arrangement.
section here is your elocution.
Hey, if I feel a
Do you want me
bit
to show you
overwhelmed right now at the thought of it, like, do you feel like, I'm serious.
yeah,
If
We all feel you.
When we're
fine.
going through our book though, and we're seeing the student book at the same time and like understanding like what they need to do on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to prepare for the following Monday, like it will come together.
yeah, it's sort of. I mean, I feel like this is so
Sort of.
No, like this is so helpful.
Okay, Sarah, think of this like when you're in essentials, you go to the teacher night and you practice it with Jen and Tara.
Yeah.
That's what this is. We're
Right.
just practicing everything you're gonna cover.
Yeah.
When they come to class though, we're gonna be teaching them what to do, right? So then they're gonna go home and they're gonna have their assignment for that book, and they're gonna know this week this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
So yes, it'll all come together, and that they'll go home and they'll know what they need to do, and then it'll be in the guide. This week's an invention week. You need to,
Because I feel like the form that is in the challenge book that says, like where you literally check the boxes, you know what I'm talking about? Like
The guy.
the guide, yeah. I don't know, this seems like I'm like a bit like,
Because we're on
Yeah.
week 5 right now of like.
essay 5.
Right.
Yeah, essay 5 in challenge A was like second semester, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we're zooming through
We're
this.
zooming, we're speeding.
Now in challenge B, we're gonna cover all of our essays first semester. We're only gonna write one of each. So we're gonna do an essay 2, an essay 4, essay 5, 6, and 7, and then we'll break for Christmas. But your student will mostly be able to do it all on their own this year.
yeah.
And like that's kind of why in challenge A I start advising the
That's
parents to
subjective.
get a planner, because you're right, the guides are for the week, so you kind of have to break some things down for them to know what to do each day.
But
Is
I
that
feel like this
interesting?
is so helpful because I did look at some of this last year. Now, I wasn't like in-depth studying it, but I will say like this has helped immensely. Like,
I really
You guys
appreciate
take
your
it.
suggestions of like
Respond.
Monday do this.
Questions.
I don't know if you could start us off in your like canons in your email.
I can, and I've done that before. I can take a snapshot of how I break down my kids' schedules and
Yes.
send that out.
Because Davis,
Get that from her.
I mean, I'll just let you know, he will take the easy way out. So he'll be like, I've got it, I'm done. And I'm
Right.
like, it took you 5 minutes.
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
I have a kid like that too.
I hear that.
Solidarity.
Yeah, super smart. Work harder.
And I just want to add to it, I was just like remembering, I was super confused on this with challenge A, but I messaged Alicia. She is great to get back to you. She'll even say this is kind of what like Kaya's look like for us. And so they're very helpful. You have
Yeah, very
questions
much
to
so.
ask, and they are great to get back to you. So
Yeah.
I feel like it was like we weren't doing enough, and why are we saying the same thing 5 times? I'm confused.
When do we get to have community day more than one day a week?
When do we get that?
No, and I wanted to second what Chris has said. Like, that's why we're here as your director, is to like give you the tools. Like, we do probably know a little bit more because we're deep diving into it, and I want to share that information with you, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So I'm trying to give you an overview. But yeah, like when Lexi was in my class, like Kristen Phillips always used her as an example because she doesn't care. She probably called me or messaged me every week with a specific question, like on this or this specific problem or in this, strand, I don't know. And I walked her through it. I love doing that. Like, that's what we're here for, is to make this easier for you so you can manage it with the limited amount of time that we have in our model. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. So essay 5, we're doing definition now. So what is our term we're gonna define? Pick something from the weather statement. A term.
We're actually defining.
We're gonna write a definition for it. Here's the thing about
Which?
definitions. We're writing a definition to
Which?
support our cause.
I thought about which.
Okay.
too.
Amber has a good one.
Yeah. Which?
She had it too.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
We're together.
So now we're gonna
Our
go
brains work the same. I
up.
appreciate you.
What kind of groups or categories does which belong to?
Evil.
Okay, evil characters,
Supernatural.
supernatural beings.
Say female. Someone slap him. Slap him.
She's not gonna listen. All right, those are our groups.
Just want you to know you're outnumbered in this room. Because Jeff will not help you out because he knows better.
That's like an obvious one the kids will.
Yes, they'll think.
Poor husband.
So now pick one of those groups. I dare
Supernatural.
you.
Supernatural.
Supernatural. That's our group. Okay, so we're picking one, and this is page 148 in your book. 148. Okay, what are other members of the supernatural group? Angels.
Demons.
Let's do one more.
Superman.
Can it like relate
The holy
directly
superheroes.
to like
Superheroes.
non-named characters?
Yes.
Yeah. So like all of the animals are
Oh, yeah.
9 in animals.
What's
Good.
the centaur?
Yep. Even Aslan.
Yeah,
They would
like
be a supernatural.
go.
Okay. Now, what do all of the members in this group have in common? What are their common characteristics? What makes them part of the group?
They aren't human.
Okay, not human. Yeah,
They have extra, I don't know, they're more than human.
yeah. So some sort of extra power.
Power,
There we go.
It's late in the day.
It's fine. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. What makes our term, the witch, what makes our witch different from all the other characters in this group? What makes her different from angels, demons, and Aslan?
She has.
Well, she's
demons are
human.
bad too.
Isn't she human?
Technically not.
She's from another.
She is from another planet.
But
I don't know
she's-
what she's called.
looks
Yeah, I can't remember
human.
either. She's got a weird name.
Humanistic.
She does look human.
So she has human
she's humanistic.
characteristics.
Humanoid.
That makes her different from angels or
Kendra
demons.
said that she's a queen. Like
Yeah.
that's
That's a good one.
She's
she's
royal.
different because she's a queen.
Okay. Self-appointed role.
Just to clarify.
Yes. Okay. So what was that? It doesn't matter either.
Erica, that was funny.
I got-
Appointed queen.
I'm just saying.
Self-appointed. Can I self-appoint
I was
myself queen?
I feel strongly about her self-appointment there. What did you say?
I just said I'm gonna self-appoint myself a queen.
There you
if can
go.
do that.
Okay. So now we're going to create the definition, and you kind of follow this form of they're the same but different. So we're just going to put it all together in one sentence. The White Witch is a supernatural being who has extra human power, and is a queen.
So,
Is a queen.
You could say like, but uses her power to like make herself queen.
Okay, if that's what sets her different. Yeah, she uses her power to make herself queen. All of those are great.
Yeah, so it says include the term, its group, and its difference. So we have our term, the group from that, and the difference is the queen.
Where are you reading from to work through this?
In the teacher's guide, it's page 147, but in the students, it's gonna be, turn to essay 5, and it's gonna be that first section there, the definition worksheet. Yep, so it'll walk them through each of those steps.
As a teacher, do you find you're getting the same papers, like if they pick the same characters?
Well, a different book.
What's the difference?
Yes, each
Well, I mean-
essay will be on a different book, but yes, we'll get 12
Yeah.
essays. Now, I do encourage,
Sorry, director.
yeah, I encourage my students to all pick a different weather question, so we'll kind of talk about that on the Invention Day. What are you all thinking about writing about? And I encourage them to pick different things. But I have had 2 students write on the exact same weather statement before, because they will come already wanting to write on something. And no, we get different papers. Either I'll ask them to pick different sides, or they will come at it from different angles just naturally. So, okay, so now, our definition, is that affirmative, negative, or interesting?
She's negative.
Whether Edmund should have followed the White Witch. The White Witch is a supernatural being and
Maybe it
is
would
a
be
queen.
affirmative, yeah.
Okay. And really, I mean, it's however you perceive it. Like, you could write it either way. So there's not a lot of right and wrong here.
Right.
As a side note, does anybody know why we're teaching our students to create Annie charts in order to get the information? Because we're not using all the information on the Annie chart. Why are we having them brainstorm like this? Does
So
anyone
they
know?
can make decisions well in the
You
future.
can see both sides of the
That's right.
situation.
That's right. And so in challenge 1 and A, you're kind of just figuring it out. In challenge B, I'm going to talk a lot about your writing to persuade. So if you pick a crappy reason that doesn't resonate with your audience, you missed the mark. The reason you're brainstorming so much is so that you can come up with the best reasons to inform your audience. So always think about, your amplification. Who are you writing to, and how is that going to inform them?
I think it's great too because this is persuasive, but it flows right into mock trial. It flows right into debate, like all that too. Like it's like the beginning of that and teaching them what to look for and how to look for it.
Right.
And into life.
Yes. Yes. And when we do these should questions, really what we are asking our students is to ask, they say, should Edmund have, whether Edmund should have followed the White Witch. Really, we're asking them internally to make an evaluation. Should I, if I was Edmund, have followed the White Witch? Was this a moral choice? So there's, that's why it's written out the way it is, because we want them to take these characters and these stories and to learn from their lessons and their life experiences. Okay, so we've got our invention done. So essay 5, you're gonna come home. Tuesday, you're gonna brain dump. Wednesday, you're gonna do comparison. Thursday, you're gonna comparison similarities. Thursday, you're gonna do comparison differences. Friday, you're gonna do definition, and hopefully your Annie chart will be full. Sometimes on Friday, you just gotta tuck a few more in there, okay?
Okay, wait, so is
That's
that every time? Oh, okay.
Every
Yes.
first week of the essay, yes.
Every first week of the essay, you go through Invention.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. You've probably said that 8 times. I'm sorry.
And no, that's why we're
That's a lot.
doing
I
this,
said it
because.
myself.
So
Yes.
We're also students.
Yeah. And so, and I know Alicia has said it too, but like, they'll have finished the book
Yes.
right before then, and then that first week they'll do the Annie chart on it, and they'll actually start reading the next book.
Okay.
Good. Okay, so essay 5, I've got in orange. Do you have the orange marker? I did. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so for orange, we're going to add in our division now, which is going to go up here. This is the third part of the introduction.
Did you say this is still essay 5? Okay.
Yeah, this is week 2 on essay 5. We're gonna do our outline now. So we're adding to our outline the division. Now you saw that word, Beth, so that's where we're talking about it. The division is a couple of things. It's identifying that I believe one way and other people believe a different way. So we're going to just set up at the beginning of our essay that there's 2 sides, and here's the side I took and why I took it. Okay? So, I'll flip over here. Page 157 starts the division worksheet. This walks you through all the different steps, and then we're going to put it together. So I'm not going to work through the whole worksheet. Your student will. I'm going to kind of skip to the main points. First, there's 2 sides. Some people believe the 2 sides are Edmund should have followed the White Witch. Edmund should not have followed the White Witch. Those are the 2 sides. Okay. What is it that both sides agree upon? And it cannot be that Edmund had to make a choice. So what is it that they both agree? Those who think he should have followed the witch, those who think he shouldn't have followed the witch. This is some brainstorming here.
Did you say both sides what?
Agree. Both the people who think he should have followed the witch and the people who think he should not have. Both of them agree.
Maybe they both agree that she was a queen.
both of them agreed that this whole definition,
Yeah.
that she was a supernatural being and was a queen with a lot of power.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's a big consideration in that decision. So that could be your agreement. Your definition right there could be your agreement. Both sides agree that the White Witch is a supernatural being who is a queen and she holds a lot of power in Narnia. And that affects your decision. So we'll just go with that.
Erica, just random while you're writing.
Yes.
Do you see either their rebellious spirit or lack thereof come out in when you grade their papers in what they decided to do?
Like which way they went?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can definitely see certain students pick to go an argumentative side.
Their spirit of rebellion.
You know what
tell
I mean?
that
Like
by
if
their
every
scissors.
time we're like, let's go, let's follow the White
And
Witch.
you let
You know
us
what I
know.
mean?
And then you let us know.
But you can see that in the conversation in class too.
I'm
There are
so
some people who like to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Without them, we wouldn't have a well-rounded conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a valuable role to
Right.
have.
Right.
But yeah, there's always the same students that play the role. Oh, where is Caroline?
He's gonna say something and he's like, oh, you know.
You didn't spank your butt.
More?
I know,
Okay.
your sources.
So we got our agreement. This is what both sides, and you are going to word it. Both sides agree that the White Witch is blah 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 blah. Then underneath it says division. We're not actually writing anything for division. That's just like a category. The division is listing both the affirmative and the negative. So that is Edmund should. Some people believe Edmund should have followed. Some people believe Edmund should not have followed. That's your disagreement. Okay? So it's really a lot simpler than it kind of seems to be in the beginning. Finding what they agree upon is the hardest part for your students. Just kind of help them think outside the box, you know? Okay. Any questions on that particularly? In challenge A, they're probably going to write. Some people believe he should. Some people believe he should not. In challenge B, I'm going to really frown upon it if they write that. I'm going to ask them to dig in and say, who is your audience? Siblings who choose to fight believe he should have followed the White Witch. It was a justified action to take. Siblings who want to keep the peace believe he should not have followed the White Witch in order to accommodate his siblings. Okay? So I'm going to ask them to find out, who are you talking to? Who believes which side? Okay. That's everything that we're adding to the outline. And this is preparing us for our next essay where we're going to add the refutation in. And we're going to really explore the opposite side. So A, you don't get to this year. B, this is new for you guys.
No,
okay,
we do
you
a little bit. We do.
Oh, you got the refutation? Great.
I will say
Forgot
too, and it seems like a lot, but this is where the book really does help, and like just getting, reading through that, because it was a little easier to understand, and looking at that outline as well is very helpful, because it does get really complex for them. I did help Aiden a lot.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Especially
Good job on your papers.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I feel that to my core. I feel that every time faces a history, I'm like, I wrote a great paper. I did a great presentation. Good job, me. Good job on your paper.
And that's why the CC curriculum is redemptive for parents. It
Yes.
gives us the opportunity to excel.
I love it.
But it's great. There's no, like you said, there's no help is too much help in the sense of when they need help, let's guide them along. Let's show them how to do it. You learn by example. Okay, so you've got your complete outline here. So we're moving on to week 3 of essay 5, and this is your elocution. And our rhetorical device that we're adding is and you can pronounce it 2 ways, antithesis or antithesis. Unless anybody's in here.
I've never said it.
Yeah.
Antithesis.
And unless someone's here to correct me and say you can't.
No, I've heard it that way.
I hear it both ways. So, okay. So, the antithesis is not the division, okay? So that does not count. Because I have a lot of students who want to say that or think that.
This is still essay 5?
This is essay 5. Yeah. So now we're just adding. So the antithesis is a scheme with contrasting ideas in parallel form. So remember how we did parallel phrases? That's what the antithesis is. We're going to do, but we're only going to do 2. We're going to do parallel phrases.
Is this where it says counter thesis? Got it.
No.
No?
No, counter thesis is not. The counter thesis is part of the division.
Wait a minute, where did you go then?
Okay, so down at the very bottom here,
Okay, got
we're
it.
doing,
Right here.
Oh.
yes,
Okay.
counter
Oh,
thesis
this
is just the affirmative and negative portion of the division, which is should and should not. The counter thesis would be the should
Okay.
not, okay? That is not your antithesis.
Okay.
Although the words are irritatingly similar. The antithesis is another parallelism, but this time it's opposite ideas, okay? So for simplicity's sake, it's like John walked in the room a boy and walked out of the room a man. Okay, opposite ideas.
It's the best of times, but it's the worst of times.
I know where that was going.
I got nervous.
Yeah.
I recommend women don't walk into that same room.
No women allowed. Or women allowed, depending on where your stance is.
So you're going to start with your sentence structure, wherever you choose to place it. So where do you think it would be dramatic in your essay to add a contrasting idea?
Maybe with safety, because
Safety.
the safety was actually very dangerous.
Okay, so Edmund wanted the adventure and he wanted the safety that the queen offered. Okay, so we're going to create this proof into a sentence structure, an antithesis sentence structure, so that we've got both the safety concept and then the opposite. So Edmund, so I'm just going to kind of start brainstorming to get your ideas flowing. So something like Edmund sought the safety that the White Witch could provide and feared the risk that his siblings were taking, or something like that. Then we're gonna have to work on the structure.
The risk of being abandoned and alone, like he's alone
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
point, right?
Feared the risk of being alone.
In a strange land or whatever, because this is like, he's brand new to Narnia at this point.
Yes. Yeah. Is that kind of making sense with you guys? Anybody have any other better ideas to throw into it?
It's deep stuff.
I
Okay.
know. There's a
So-
sermon in there somewhere.
So now we've just written this in. So Edmund sought safety, and he feared. How did you say it, Beth?
The female.
And he feared.
Something like being lost in a strange, in a
Yeah.
In a new land,
Feared.
being alone and
Being alone in a new land. Yes.
Sought safety.
In an
I'm
unfamiliar-
struggling with being alone because we're adding another word in, just as far as the parallel structure goes.
Oh.
So if Edward sought safety, then he feared loneliness.
That's a word. Aloneness.
Feared loneliness from being, you can go on at that point. So you've got your parallel structures there. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so the antithesis is just a parallelism with opposite views. Okay,
Great.
any questions on that?
Sure.
Okay, so elocution week, they're gonna come home Tuesday, they're gonna add in their antithesis, their, let's see, I'm starting again, we had our parallel, one word parallel, and then we had our strong verb, and then we had our parallel phrases, and now we're adding our antithesis, okay?
Okay,
Sound good?
week 2 is always elocution.
No, week 3 is always
Sorry.
elocution.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Week 3. I'm just getting down the lingo again, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
For real.
invention, arrangement, elocution.
Arrangement is the second part.
Mhm.
Okay, that's always.
Because arrangement is your outline. You have to have your outline before you can actually write your paper. Okay, so that's essay 5. Then we'll go on to essay 6. All right, the essay 6 I feel like is a little bit of a jump for students. We're tackling a couple of, I don't know, just slightly more difficult concepts. So when we start with the invention, we're going to do circumstance. And Alicia has drawn our circles. I don't know why this can be hard for the students. I don't know, do you find the same thing?
Yeah.
I feel like mine struggle with this. Okay, so just don't overcomplicate it is what I tell my students. All right, so circumstance, we're literally talking about location, okay? What's going on around you, the circumstances around you in your setting, okay? So you, your issue is whether Edmund should have followed the White Witch. So what is the situation that Edmund is in? What's the setting right around Edmund when he has to make this decision?
The woods?
He's in the woods,
Snow.
cold, yep. He's in the snowy woods on the side of the road, and the witch has just pulled up in a sleigh. Now, we're going to pick 3 new locations and talk about what the circumstances are in each of those 3 locations, ultimately for a kind of comparison to where he's at, okay? So we'll do the first one for you. Location 1, we're going to say is where his siblings are at. That's in the beaver's den. And in there, they are planning their escape. They're planning their trip to Aslan and their escape from, they know the White Witch, they're trying to hide from her, so they know eventually she's going to be on them. So they're kind of planning their escape. They know that she knows that they're in the country.
So this is in relation to where Edmund is.
Yeah, so at the same time,
Got
different location.
Got it. Oh.
And if it's a real
okay.
life book, you can pick real life places. Like we're gonna do Corey Ten Boom's book, you can pick real life places for what's the situation in other countries at that time.
That's good.
Which they will know from previous books, like some of the ones they read in A as well. So, okay, so someone else pick another location for me.
With Aslan.
Okay, where was Aslan at? What do we know about where Aslan is at this moment?
I don't know.
Well, we don't know a lot, but we do know that he's preparing, that he's on the move, and that he's gathering troops. That information was shared in the Beaver's Den. So we don't know where he's at, but we know that he's journeying to Narnia, that he's gathering troops, and so we know he's preparing, and he's already working towards the goal of the war. Okay, third location.
The professor?
Okay, the professor. Where's the professor at right now? He's at home, in his mansion, during the war. Right. He's,
Really?
I think he's
well, you know,
Mind blown.
the guy, the wood, have you all read The Magician's Nephew?
Yes.
Okay, so the wood was made from the tree that he brought the seed. So he's the little boy in The Magician's Nephew who went in to gather, he brought the seed home, he planted the seed,
Yeah.
grew up, he's an old man, tree died, he had it made into the wardrobe, and it became the door back to the Narnian world.
Genius. Man.
Right? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That professor.
Oh my gosh.
What a
So
guy.
for sure, you know he's based upon C.S. Lewis, because C.S. Lewis is the one who suggested the whole thing about moving the kids out to the country in the time of war.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay, so
What?
the professor's at home. Yeah.
Forget everything you taught me up until this point. Let's focus on that.
Have you read Becoming Mrs. Lewis?
No.
Oh, that sounds great. I did watch the movie about his life this last year that just came out on, I can't remember what it was called though. They just did a movie on C.S. Lewis.
Oh.
And it was like straight to streaming. But it
Yeah,
was good
it
too.
was.
About
You can include
how he
it in
became a
your-
Christian. Okay, so we've got 3 locations. The professor's home. He believes in magic. What else is going on in his setting? He doesn't know the kids are gone. Time isn't moving there. What other circumstances are around him? He's looking for a door back into Narnia. We find out at the end of the book. He's constantly looking for a way back.
Isn't there more family there as well? Doesn't he
The most
His-
reluctant
his-
convert.
Yeah, there's more kids in the
Babe.
story.
The most reluctant convert.
That's it. That was good too.
But that is good too.
Okay, so these are all your circumstances. Now,
I actually have it right.
how do we put these on your Annie chart? How do these help persuade us, knowing this information, how does it help persuade us for or against Edmund following the White Witch?
So the Annie chart is always there when we're on Invention Week.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're getting it. You got this.
It's a slow train, guys.
No, it's not.
It's
because
getting there.
I did not put this together. Like I knew what to do week 1, but I didn't put the word like where invention goes with this.
So we just always need to have the Annie chart open, like, so how, okay, so you may have, is there a, I don't have my book, but is there like a form, like a worksheet in the book that helps them,
With
like
the
a
Annie
constant
chart?
go back to like, okay, let's pull the, like we always had our charts in Essentials, where it's like, okay, go back to your chart.
Which is why they recommend not writing in this book because they use it every year. So yes, you can always go back to the previous worksheets. In
So
the
do you just
book.
have, like, would you just have Kaya do it on like a piece of paper, her Annie chart, and be like, okay,
That or
we're just
copy
gonna
it.
go back.
This is the
Okay.
only chart they give in the book. It's just columns with empty spaces. So just have it, just take a sheet of paper, divide it in 3 columns, and start
Okay.
writing.
Get a 1-inch binder
Yeah.
or notebook.
And you keep that Annie
Yeah.
chart. Yeah.
That's where they
Yeah.
That's where it goes, okay.
Okay, so what can we move to our Annie chart?
So Aslan location would definitely go more towards a negative because you
Right.
would not want to follow.
Yeah.
that.
A war is brewing, and you want to make sure you're on the right side. So
Ooh.
you definitely should not.
There's another sermon right there.
Woo. Okay, what else?
When is Jesus
Yes.
coming? Referring to
There's 2
earlier
more.
questions.
The Beaver's Den too would almost go towards the negative because then he would have the support of siblings and other
Right.
advice the whole time.
He knows he's dividing himself from his siblings, and he knows that he's on the opposite side of them now. He knows the choice he's making. As do all siblings when they engage in. Okay, and the professor's home. Where would you put that?
Would you want to make it back?
I was gonna do, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it would be under
you
the
want to
negative.
get back home, so
but-
yeah. You could,
Of
yeah.
why he would-
Or does he think the White Witch can get him back? Does he know at that point that she won't? No, she's telling him he's going to be king, so he's thinking he'll stay here. So,
right,
you know,
right.
maybe negative, you know, if he ever wants to go home and see his family again, he'd have to
But
leave
maybe
the
that would be
witch.
affirmative in the, like how you would perceive it,
Mhm.
that's why
Right.
he doesn't wanna go.
So you could write it also, you can do both. You can write
Yeah.
also in the affirmative and say, he doesn't want to go home, he wants to be king here in Narnia and give up his life at home, so he's not concerned about the professor.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, and if you're not sure, you can always put in the interesting column and, later you may have a idea or decide to move it. Okay, any question on the circumstance worksheet? Okay, so for essay 6, you're probably gonna go home and Tuesday you're gonna brain dump. Wednesday, you're gonna do both of your comparisons, similarities and differences. Thursdays, you're gonna do your definition. Friday, you'll do your circumstance and your chart should be full.
Okay,
Make sense?
we're just building.
Yeah, we're building. So it should be easy to get more reasons as you have to add them to your chart because you're getting more worksheets to work through, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go to the arrangement. Essay 6, we are adding the refutation.
Here, can I send the picture that you sent me to them? Okay.
Okay, so this actually goes between the proofs and the conclusion.
Bye, Abby.
Thanks for coming. Okay,
This is under arrangement.
this is refutation, so my marker's not working.
And in the student workbook too, it says like essay 6 arrangement, and then it says reputation. Like, so it kind of lets you know what
Walks
stage you're
them
in.
through it, yeah. And they can always go back to each essay and use these arrangement worksheets to help them brainstorm as they're writing out these elements, So they can walk through all the worksheets for every single one. In fact, if anyone's interested, I do have a PDF file that another director created, not me, that is basically your invention worksheets and your arrangement questions as you're building out your essay, and then your outline for every single essay. So it's like essay 1, or so for essay 6, it'd be like, okay, she would have all 4 of these worksheets, and then she'd have all the lists of questions that you need, and then she'd have the outline, and your student works through the whole packet for that one.
Because then I'm like, sorry buddy, you didn't do those.
Yeah. Yes, exactly, the whole thing is, that's what I do with my
You
kids,
can't argue
we
with
never
it,
even
right.
bought the student workbook, because I was like, I've got basically a printable student workbook.
Okay.
So, I'll send that out, I print that out for mine, and that's helpful to me, because then I know
That's
they've
great.
worked through it all.
If you just send that to me, I can send it to them.
Perfect.
Gives you a good checklist to go through.
Yeah. Okay, all right, refutation, we're adding the refutation. So this is kind of a big one that we're adding. So we've already told why I believe he should follow the White Witch. Now I'm gonna tell you why he shouldn't. So we're gonna start with, and just to be clear, this goes after your proofs, before your conclusion. So I'm gonna move this up actually.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna start with your counter thesis. That is the should not. Or if you were doing should not, it would be the should. That would be your counter thesis. So Edmund should not go with the White Witch. Okay? And the first, you're gonna have your counterproof 1. So now you're gonna go back to your Annie chart, and instead of just using the negative for your essay, you're also gonna use we're doing affirmative.
Yes.
So instead of just using the affirmative, you're also going to use your negative. So now we need our 2 most convincing proofs. So what's the first most convincing proof you see on that negative column? She what?
She yelled at him.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, lady.
Number 1, because the White Witch yelled. Okay. So we've got our counterproof number 1, and then you have your summary of support. Do you remember how many subproofs they need? Is that 2 or 3?
They need 3.
Okay, so you're gonna, there it is. 3 subproofs is your summary of support. And those can all go, like it says summary of support in this one box, that can all go into 1 sentence or a couple of sentences. It doesn't have to be super elaborate. We're not writing a second essay. We're just hitting the highlights. So, our 3 subproofs are what? What is a subproof that you should not go because she yelled? Yelling shows us that she's what?
Angry.
Angry,
Uncontrolled.
uncontrolled,
Evil.
evil.
I yell, I'm evil. Thank
Right.
you.
You're welcome.
Now, this is all in one paragraph. Now you're going to tell us why these are inadequate reasons. This is what the other side is going to tell you, that she's angry, she's uncontrolled, and she's evil. But that is not convincing because
Yeah.
She's powerful.
Good, Amber.
she is powerful
She's wearing all white.
She's a powerful queen.
and she's the queen. And ultimately, that's what matters.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay, and then you're gonna do a second one. So we did 3 main proofs, but we're only gonna do 2 refutations.
Okay.
So now we're gonna do a new paragraph. Our second refutation is gonna be what? What else is convincing?
She's a stranger.
Stranger. Stranger danger. Okay, what are my 3 sub-proofs that he should not go with her because she's a stranger?
She obviously knows her way around. Like she's familiar with the land.
We're going with reasons he should not go with her.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, siblings wouldn't
Right.
know. Like if he got lost, they
Right.
wouldn't know how to get to him.
Okay, his siblings couldn't find him.
You shouldn't trust her.
Well, and he doesn't know where he's, like, he doesn't know.
He
the
doesn't
He doesn't know the
where he's
land.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no background there.
Doesn't know where to find himself. And a third one. Lucy warned him. Let's see, she's a stranger.
Well, I
Maybe-
have evil down here too, so this could.
Yeah,
So this
and-
could also be, because Lucy warned him.
Yeah, Lucy warned him, so
Yeah.
he already has. The only knowledge he knows about her is what Lucy said.
Mm-hmm.
Which was
Lucy
not good.
warned him. Yeah.
So don't do it.
Okay, and then we're gonna say, but these are not adequate
Mm-hmm.
because what's really important here is
She took him in when he was alone.
that's right.
Wow.
She cares.
She
Mm-hmm.
cared for him.
She speaks life over him.
Yes.
You can be this.
That's
Yeah,
right.
she's gonna
She
make
did
him
all that. She
king.
cared for him. She
Yeah.
spoke life over him. Yep, that's great. Okay, now you're going to do a third paragraph, and I'm running out of space. So your third paragraph is just going to be a summary of the 2 we just did. Okay. So to wrap it up, she yelled, but that doesn't matter because she's powerful, and she is a stranger, but that doesn't matter because she cared for him. Okay? So just that little summary of the refutation. Okay, any questions about that?
Okay, so we just summed that part up, right?
Yep, that's it.
Looks like we got a really good paper going on here.
I know.
Who's gonna type it up? Kendra? Great.
Okay,
Delegation.
the rhetorical device you add for this essay is a simile. Everyone's probably done a simile, so you're gonna throw that in somewhere. And then we're gonna wrap it up. When you go to essay 7, you're going to be doing relation, and we'll talk about things that took place before and after the weather statement and how that helps, and move that over to our Annie chart. And then we'll add in, right up here, you're gonna add in just a little narration. You're gonna tell us the situation and the actions, basically what's related before and after this event. So give the reader just a little bit of information there. That's your situation and actions. And then for essay 7, you'll add in an alliteration, which is just repeating the first syllable of the word. So, you know, we kind of already did that once when we said Edmund sought safety. That sought safety is an alliteration there. So you're just adding in an alliteration. And then that's your complete form. So once you have the situation and the actions that took place, that's your complete essay form with essay 7. So challenge A doesn't get to this one. So where we
Okay,
stopped is
that's what
where
I
you
thought.
finish. B and 1 will go through 7. You'll add in that situation and actions. That's your complete form now. You've given them the complete example. You've walked through the proofs, and you've told the other side, and then you're concluding what is best. Then with essays 8 and 9, you're going to continue building on that testimony. For your essay 8, you'll build that testimony Annie chart, worksheet into your Annie chart. And then essay 9, you don't add any more for invention. You just keep working the ones you've already done. And then for essay 8, you'll add a metaphor, which is simple. Everyone's
We only
done
go
metaphor.
to 7.
We only go to 7.
Yeah, but 1 goes
So challenge 1 adds in a metaphor, and then in essay 8,